Oh. Another professional video. Bringing it down the hill, boss. Okay. See if this goes a little better today. I should probably explain this. I have my props out because I am going to use some props today. This isn't a prop. So I don't know, is it legal? If it's not legal to actually drink this on a YouTube video, then it's a prop. If it's legal, might not be a prop. The reason I should probably explain that is I gave up beer for Lent. And then I learned Sunday's a free day. And so I asked for some guidance on what to do on Sunday. Let me put this down. Should I drink beer? Should I not drink beer? Well, one of the pastors that weighed in said, "That's your choice." Only in a higher voice. "That's your choice." Okay. That wasn't a tough one. Oh, mercy. You might remember this when it comes to, this is my personal protective equipment for keeping people at distance. And as I had pointed out earlier, it's not very substantial, so I decided to go to a larger caliber. Yeah, this is a larger caliber for social distancing, and I can run that out to 6 feet, and it doesn't drop off. It'll hold it. When it comes to social distancing, I don't think those words mean what some of you people think they mean. Okay? No parties. No partying. Don't go to no parties. Don't go to the beach. Probably try to stay away from just, bunches of people you don't know. Oh, golly. Yeah, it kind of makes my eyes water sometimes too. This is my hemp shirt. It's a favorite shirt of mine. It's made out of hemp. So, if we have to stay holed up a long time, we'll just see how it does in all the categories. I'm guessing though they probably took that out. I also realize I'm looking in the excuse me, still got the cold. And actually, ever since I had my nose job, it used to be really big. Ever since I had my nose job, I've had a drip. Can't feel it. It's always like being in the winter, out in the cold. I just realized, but I use this finger. It looks like the couch is on fire. It's not. We have a fire going because it got cold enough, and I had some old wood to use up. Okay, let me see. Oh, and the handkerchief does bring up a good thing. I can use it to segue. That's a word that does not spell like it's pronounced, just so you'll know if you have to look it up. When I was in Korea, which actually has to do with the story that's coming up, but first I'm going to go to Mythbusters because they did they checked out handkerchiefs versus sneezing in your hand versus sneezing in your elbow. I know you can't see my mouth, but if I was sneezing, it'd be right in my elbow. I was surprised. I thought the handkerchief would win. Not even close. Not even close. This was the best. They did a real involved test, and colored water was involved, and I'm real happy with the colors they picked, that they chose to use. Sometimes people make good decisions in life. Unlike that partying decision. Well, this is not a good time to visit the old folks' home. Okay? Or the homes that old folks live in. Yeah, we're just waiting. We got one foot out the door already. Where was I? Help me. Yeah. Help me pull it back in. Anyway, I may actually stop carrying a handkerchief after watching the testing. It actually went the sneeze, because I had a real good camera. You could see the sneeze come through the handkerchief. Oh my. Anyway, more prop. This could go a whole lot better or a whole lot worse. We'll just have to see. I'll set it out of the way. Kids, this is not something that, no, never mind. Your parents are in charge of you on that one. Anyway, when I was in Korea, I was a barrack sergeant. I may have mentioned this in another story. I don't know what people have looked at and what they haven't. But anyway, when I was barrack sergeant, I wasn't a sergeant. I was actually a Spec 5, SP5, E5. Wasn't a hard stripe. This barracks was so bad, I was just fresh meat. It was like, well, this guy seems pretty loud. Let's let him give it a shot. So I ended up barrack sergeant because they hadn't been good. They just hadn't been good soldiers. But by virtue of being barrack sergeant, I had a little room at the end of the barracks, and I had my little desk and my bed. It was nice. A little privacy. The wall didn't go all the way to the ceiling. They were Quonset huts. Anyway, Sergeant Kim, it's not Sergeant Kim. We had a Sergeant Kim houseboy, but this was Chun. And, or was it? I'll call him Kim too. I should probably not be using real names anyway, so I'll use his fake video name, Kim. And he was in there one day doing my gear. You had to give him money because they were the houseboy. When you went through the pay line, you gave money to a whole bunch of things. Anyway, he just got real upset if I didn't let him do my own equipment. For good reason, actually. I did my own equipment just before a parade one time, and I had it laid out on the bed, and I laid all my stuff that went on my web belt. I laid all my stuff out. As I was looking at it, I laid it all out backwards. Put my belt on, and then when I was standing next to the other soldiers, I looked down and I realized all my equipment was on my web belt backwards. I went through that whole inspection, and not one of them caught it. First sergeant major. I'm real glad Sergeant Major didn't catch it, and our battery commander. A couple of them looked at me a couple times. Well, they just couldn't see it. I was a happy GI when that was true. Anyway, Kim was talking with me, and he said, Sergeant Tom, he said, is it okay if I ask you a question about how you folks live back in the States? I said, well, no, Kim, go ahead. We were good friends. Kim said, well, because, they took our laundry for us and brought it back to us. I swear sometimes they brought our fatigues back. Not I swear. There was sand in the pockets. Anyway, he said, well, and he had a handkerchief. He'd been folding stuff, and he said he had a handkerchief. He said, do you use this? He said, when you're not in the Army, when you're, back home. And I said, you mean a handkerchief? I said, yeah, we carry handkerchiefs around. He said, and you use it. They didn't use handkerchiefs. They did the, And I said, well, yeah, I use it. I said, I blow my nose in it and stick it back in my pocket, which I realized was kind of what he was getting into, because kind of made his eyes water a little bit. And he was just, he said, and he said, and your wife, she does the laundry? And I said, yeah, my wife does the laundry. I said, sometimes I do, but usually, she's doing it. He said, and she washes that for you. She takes that and washes that for you. I said, yeah, she does. And he just couldn't wrap around that. It just was one of those cultural things that to take something that we were putting, and this is why I quit carrying one of these around, is we're just putting excrement nasal secretions are going here, then I carry them around with me during the day because it just makes me feel special. So anyway, it's kind of hard to believe this is actually going into another story because I don't know how much time we killed here. Oh my goodness. Oh folks, this is just good. This is already 10 minutes of your life you're never going to get back. Anyway, we had seen, they would show movies up at a little movie theater in a kind of a big Quonset hut, and we would go up there and watch movies. And one of the movies that we watched that they had shown to us was Cool Hand Luke. And one of the lines, which is going to be important to the story later on, was, if you remember when they take off my glasses, boss. Yeah, take off your glasses, sunglasses. Put on my glasses, boss. Yeah, put on your glasses. Getting permission. Well, we went, it was up at our tax site. It was high enough. I mean, we had a couple of switchbacks, and our tax site was up there on top with a. This will be the radar, with a little radar going around and around and around. We had one of the vehicles up there, and we were trying to do something with it. This thing hadn't been moved since after the Korean War. Honestly, one of our vans, the serial number on it was 001. Give you any idea how long this stuff had been there. I was there in the 60s. Anyway, so we took this tire off the 2 1/2, and we just decided the best way to get it fixed was just to roll it down the hill. So there were several of us. We was heading down to the Batter area. This was after lunch. I think it might have been even after supper, if I remember right. Anyway, somewhere in that time of day, but it was late after. There wasn't anybody around, which was came to be a real important thing later on. So anyway, I suppose there's 3 or 4 of us, and this one guy, I'm going to call him Big Billy Bob. The Big was the original part. The Billy Bob is just the made up video name that I'm going to use because some of these folks are still around. Anyway. Billy Bob, of course, he was the one that we picked to be in charge of rolling this big 2 1/2 tire down at the tax site. Nice kind of a slow slope, And anyway, we went off because we was just going to walk down to the next switchback. And why was it funny that we picked Big Billy Bob to roll the tire? I'm going to have to do some editing here, kids, in case any young folks are watching, and they shouldn't be. He had been out in the village and had spent the night with a professional girlfriend. Okay, and he had gotten real sleepy from drinking a prop. Yeah, that's right. That's good, I'm going with that. He'd gotten so sleepy that really when he went to sleep, he went into that deep, deep slumber that sometimes is called passing out. This was kind of crucial because in the village, in the huts, their heat, and it was a colder time of the year, but their heat was in the floor. They'd put these little charcoal, like big bricks outside, and then the draw would go through underneath the floor to heat the floor up. And since the pallets, his sleeping pallet with his professional girlfriend was on the floor, his foot had fallen off and onto the floor right over where the heat was coming underneath. And he burned a hole about as big as $50 in his heel. Oh, it was nasty. Nasty looking. It was all bandaged up and goobery, and yeah. So anyway, he was limping and hurting pretty good. This is the guy we had rolling the tire, limping along. This would be me limping. I'd stand up, but my head goes out of the picture. I hadn't got the distance thing worked out yet. And, as he was limping along, as the hill increased, the tire, of course, being a tire, started rolling a little faster. Well, he realized The tire was getting ahead of him. We were way back and not even lifting a hand to help the man. And, well, he realized he was about to lose it, so he reached forward to try to slap it over. I'm sorry, I just about knocked my prop off the table to try to slap the tire over. And he was doing it was okay. I mean, he was getting a wobble on it. The tire was kind of, going like this, but not quite over. Well, he did 2 or 3 of these things, maybe 4. Wasn't going down, the tire was picking up speed. And of course, our way of helping back behind was to shout, "Bringing it down the hill, boss! Bringing it down the hill, boss! Permission to bring it down the hill, boss!" He didn't think it was funny. We did. We was laughing. It was already funny. Realizing that this wasn't working, that only his fingertips were brushing the tire to knock it over, he knew he was going to have to get a more solid hit than that. So, I mean, he really made what I would even then have called a superhuman effort to get in front of that tire. I mean, he just really, he didn't even try to knock it over as he was going past because he didn't want to lose that motion. And he actually managed to get in front of the tire and turn around just in time to get smacked. It just took him right down and then right over the side where the hill dropped off completely to the road down below. And he just, with arms and legs flailing around, just ass over appetite, just rolling and might have been saying some bad words. Yeah, no mic to it. So anyway, we go running over there because, like we didn't want him dead or anything, or dead. And he got up and he was a little mad. Well, about this time, when a guy says, "That tire's still going." Well, we looked, and it was. It had hit the road and picking up speed, going right on down. And then we was thinking, well, surely when it hits the next one, it'll, hit something and fall over, and that'll be it. The next leap that it made was clear over the next switchback. And I mean, this puppy is rolling now. I don't know how many miles per hour it was going, but it was a rocket going down that hill. Well, now we're a little bit concerned because our battery compound was down there. And it looked like this tire was heading dead center for the mess hall. Now, the one thing that you don't want to mess with is the mess hall. You just don't want to come between a GI and his food. And we were a little worried at that point. We really were. Well, smoke, it just... Hope I didn't spit up on anything. No, I don't see anything on the screen. Don't have to wipe it off. So it's going and it's going. Well, the officers' barracks were in kind of a U shape. 2 barracks this way, 1 at the back, off to the side, to the left. Well, they had a tennis court. So anyway, when the tire hit where the tennis court was, it took a left and it shot in to the U part of the officers' barracks. And then we hear this huge crash when it hits. It's one of those things where you see the roof go whoosh, like this. Okay, that's what it did. I'm sure it was just the dirt, but it looked like the roof came up. I'm going to tell it like the roof came up. Old Quonset huts, also there probably since, Korean War. And anyway, we're a little worried now. So man, we're booking. We get run down the hill to retrieve the tire and see if there was anybody that we had to talk to. So we go running up in there, and there is like in this Quonset hut, like a section about 8 feet wide that's dented in. And no broken glass. There were some little windows up at the top, and no broken glass or anything. So we grabbed the tire. Guys are scouting all around. Nobody. Don't see any curtains. Don't see any. There's nobody around. And we take the tire. roll it back out to the road. We roll on past the mess hall, through the parade area, into the motor pool, and we drop off the tire. There was let's just say a lieutenant that he wasn't a favorite. Yeah, that's good. He wasn't a favorite of ours. And that was one of the rooms that was hit. And where the tire hit square, at the deepest part of the dent, right on that other side was all of his stereo equipment, all the stuff that he had. Of course, it was all knocked off into the floor. And they never could. And they tried to find out. They never could figure out what in the world did that to the officers' barracks. And we didn't tell them. Let me see, is there anything else in there? What have I gotten in little parties? I got the large caliber thing. Okay, still got a lot of my prop to finish. Sundays are free. You just can't imagine how happy I was about that. Just being with the faith. Still going on my Lent, but I'm giving up for my Lent. And let me see. I think this is a wrap. How many minutes? Oh my goodness, 21 minutes. We have a terrible upload time, and the couch never did catch fire. Listen, peace be with you. Hang in there. Everything's going to be okay.